Alright, my friends, get ready because today, we're diving into one of the most bizarre, confusing, and downright hilarious moments in recent NFL history. If you thought you'd seen everything in football, think again. Patrick Mahomes, the man who can seemingly do no wrong, may have just pulled off one of the slickest moves, and I'm not talking about one of his no-look passes. Nope, this time, it was a flop. Yes, you heard me right, a full-on flop, like something you'd see in a soccer game, but with a football twist. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? Mahomes? A flop? That's what I said too. In a game that was already full of drama. A play in the fourth quarter made the entire internet explode. So what happened? Did Mahomes get hit and make an Oscar-worthy performance to get a penalty? Or was he just being extra careful, extra careful? Well, buckle up because we're breaking it down in excruciating detail. Should Mahomes be punished for this stunt? Or is it just a smart, savvy move to get the win? We'll look at the play from every angle. We'll get inside the head of NFL refs, experts, fans, and of course, Patrick Mahomes himself. Spoiler alert. He's not exactly apologizing. But wait, there's more. Before we dive into the flop of the century, I want to take a moment and set the stage. You know we've got to start with some history to put everything in perspective. How did we get to this moment? And what's the NFL really thinking about all of this? Stay tuned because this video has everything: drama, controversy, humor, and maybe even a little bit of football wisdom. And hey, I want to hear your thoughts, too. So don't forget to hit that like button if you love the NFL, or love a good drama, and of course, subscribe. Because this roller coaster is just getting started. Alright, here's what went down. It's the AFC playoff game, and the Kansas City Chiefs are fighting for a chance to advance to the AFC Championship. We all know the stakes, right? Mahomes has been playing like an MVP all season. But this game, well, it didn't start out great. The Texans, who honestly were kind of underrated coming into this game, managed to keep the pressure on. But then, in the fourth quarter, with everything on the line, the flop happened. You can already picture it in your head, can't you? Mahomes, instead of doing what any normal quarterback would do, running out of bounds or just diving down, he decided to do something more, well, theatrical. He slows down, practically tiptoes, and then, bam, he throws himself to the ground as if he's been hit by a truck. And the refs? They didn't miss it. A penalty flag flies in. The Chiefs got their call. Now let's pause here. Was it a genius move? Was he playing 3D chess while the Texans were stuck playing checkers? Or did Mahomes, the superstar, cross a line and flop like he was in the World Cup? One thing's for sure, this play had everyone from Troy Aikman to Twitter absolutely buzzing. And trust me, we're diving deep into those reactions. But first, let's rewind a bit and talk about the rules. See, in the NFL, the rules around roughing the passer are pretty clear. Quarterbacks are protected, especially when they're in the pocket. But what happens when a quarterback turns into a runner? That's where it gets a little blurry. Aikman, who was calling the game, made a very valid point when he said Mahomes wasn't in the pocket anymore. But Mahomes still got the penalty call, and the Chiefs capitalized on it. Was it fair? That's up for debate. But let's be real for a second, Mahomes isn't the first QB to push the envelope with these calls. We've seen it time and time again in the NFL. The truth is, quarterbacks know exactly how to play the refs and get those precious penalty calls. And Mahomes? He's an expert in this field. Now, I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, okay, so it was a little dramatic. But who cares, right? Well, this is where things get spicy. Let's look at how this all unfolded on social media. You've got fans who are not happy with the call, and they made their feelings very clear. Right after that penalty flag dropped, Twitter went into a frenzy. I'm talking about pure chaos. Everyone had an opinion, from fans on both sides of the rivalry, to NFL analysts, to random people who were probably just eating pizza on a Saturday night and saw an opportunity to roast Mahomes. This tweet sums it up perfectly. Patrick Mahomes out here flopping like he's trying to get a yellow card in soccer. Embarrassing. #NFL flop. Okay, so not everyone is impressed with Mahomes' move. But is it all really that embarrassing? I mean, come on, the guy's a two-time Super Bowl champion. Shouldn't he get a little leeway in this department? At the end of the day, Mahomes got his penalty. The Chiefs capitalized, and they went on to score, putting the game away. The Texans, however, weren't as fortunate. Despite making it a close game, they couldn't keep up. So what does this all mean for Mahomes and the Chiefs moving forward? Could this flop actually end up benefiting them in the long run? Maybe, maybe not, but one thing's for sure, it's going to keep everyone talking. Which is exactly what Mahomes probably wanted. And now we've got to ask, will this be the new go-to move for QBs in the NFL? Or should the league step in and rein it in? Let's talk about that next. Either way, I think we've all learned one thing from this. Never underestimate a quarterback's ability to get the call. Even when it's, let's just say, extra. It's like that old saying, if you can't beat him, join him. Well, in this case, if you can't run out of bounds, just flop your way to a penalty. Conclusion. Alright, folks, it's your turn. What do you think? Was Mahomes just playing smart football? Or did he cross the line into flopping territory? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown of the play, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. You'll be the first to know when I drop more NFL chaos right here on the channel. Patrick Mahomes' shameless flop. Is it time for the NFL to institute a flopping penalty? Alright, folks, we need to talk. Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, pulled off something on Saturday that even the most seasoned professional wrestlers would call a bit much. And no, it wasn't a crazy no-look pass or a miraculous game-winning throw. It was a flop. Yes, you read that right, the MVP, the man who makes impossible throws look easy, did a little bit of acting. And honestly, it's got us all wondering, should there be a flopping penalty in the NFL? The incident, a late hit. That wasn't. Let's set the scene, shall we? The Kansas City Chiefs were deep in Texans territory during the fourth quarter of their divisional round matchup. Mahomes, being the magician he is, decided to scramble and run out of bounds to stop the clock. But here's the kicker, he didn't actually cross the white line. Nope, he stopped just short, and that's when the Texans defender gave him a tiny little push that barely sent him into the out-of-bounds area. So, naturally, Mahomes did what any self-respecting football player would do in this situation. He proceeded to flop like a fish out of water. Flailing his arms, clutching his face, and putting on a performance that would make Hollywood jealous. Mahomes made it look like he'd been hit well after the play. But in reality, he wasn't hit late at all. He just took a little extra theatrical liberty with it. And the best part? The refs didn't even bat an eye. They just let it go, awarding the Chiefs 15 free yards for what can only be described as a flop worthy of a Golden Globe nomination. What did Mahomes do next? Oh, you know, just the usual. Now, most players would be satisfied with the extra yards and go about their business. But not Mahomes. Oh no, he had to make sure that 15-yard gift didn't go to waste. A couple of plays later, Mahomes did his best, I'm falling but still throwing touchdowns impression and managed to toss a ridiculous touchdown pass while being sacked and falling down like he was trying out for a stunt double roll. It was, of course, another spectacular play that made Chiefs fans scream in joy and every non-Chiefs fan groan in frustration. But the real question is, should we allow this kind of behavior? Is this the example we want set by the face of the league? Is flopping really that bad? Let's be clear. Mahomes is a generational talent. The man's made Super Bowl history, defied physics, and performed feats of athleticism that make mere mortals like us wish we had a shred of his ability. But let's also be honest, there's no reason for a player of his caliber to be flopping for extra penalties. It's like watching a magician pull off a trick. But then, instead of amazement, you feel a little tricked. There's no official flopping penalty in the NFL's rulebook. Which is kind of surprising given how much drama flopping can cause in other sports. I'm looking at you. Soccer. However, the NFL has called penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct when players act like they've been hit harder than they actually were. And sure, there's room for interpretation. Maybe the ref didn't see the flop for what it was. But as this play shows, it's clear that a lot of players might be trying to game the system. And Mahomes is leading the way. The Mahomes effect. Setting a dangerous precedent. The bigger issue here is the precedent it sets. Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league. He's the player kids want to be. The quarterback everyone else watches and emulates. when the top guy on the field is flopping for extra penalties. What does that say to the rest of the league? Are we really going to start seeing more players looking for free yards by pretending to be flung into the stratosphere every time a defender grazes their elbow? At some point, the NFL needs to step up and say, "Hey, that's not how we roll." I mean, this isn't the NBA where flopping has become a sport unto itself. This is football, where the players are already putting their bodies on the line. The last thing we need is more theatrics to mess with the flow of the game. The solution? A flopping penalty for the NFL? It's time for the NFL to step in and officially make flopping a punishable offense. We've already got penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct. So why not add a flopping rule to that list? After all, players shouldn't be able to create advantages for themselves by manipulating the refs with exaggerated reactions. A 15-yard penalty for flopping would do wonders to clean up the game and keep it more authentic. We can still have those legendary Mahomes moments. But let's not turn every little push out of bounds into a Hollywood production. Conclusion. Is Mahomes still the GOAT? Absolutely. Does he need to cut it out with the flopping? Also yes. Let's not kid ourselves here. Patrick Mahomes is still, without a doubt, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. But even the GOATs need to be held accountable when they pull off stunts like this. We can't let flopping become the new trend, especially when it's the face of the NFL setting the example. Maybe next time Mahomes wants a few extra yards, he can just do what the rest of us do and ask politely. The referees might even be inclined to throw the flag without the drama. So, in short, no more flopping. Patrick, just make the throw, and leave the theatrics to the